Breaking days of silence following last Saturday's public apology for causing concern, President Yoon Suk Yeol addressed the nation again earlier this morning to defend his brief imposition of martial law. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young is standing by live at the top office. Soo-young, let's start with details of his actual address.
Sure, Sunny. Thanks for inviting me. Well, first of all, the President, in his sudden 29-minute speech given on Tuesday morning, he vowed to fight until the end against forces that he said threatened the country's future, and he really defended his decision to impose martial law on December 3rd. He called it a political decision that was made under the President's legal authority.
거대 야당이 헌법상 권한을 남용하여 위헌적 조치들을 계속 반복했지만 저는 헌법의 틀 내에서 대통령의 권한을 행사하기로 했습니다. 그 목적은 국민들에게 거대 야당의 반국가적 폐악을 알려 이를 멈추도록 경고하는 것이었습니다. 그럼으로써 자유민주주의 헌정 질서의 붕괴를 막고 국가 기능을 정상화하고자 하였습니다.
Yoon argued that he'd ordered only a small group of unarmed troops to enter the National Assembly and that they were called to immediately withdraw when Parliament overturned the martial law decree. He said he hadn't intended to shut down Parliament, saying that if he had, then power and water supplies would have been cut off and live broadcasts of the parliamentary session would have been restricted. Such rhetoric comes as investigators close in on the President for charges of insurrection. He's the only sitting Korean leader to have been placed under a travel ban. Citing repeated attempts to impeach him and his officials throughout his presidency by the opposition, Yoon blamed the opposition party, which holds a majority in parliament, for paralysing the functions of government and claimed they have been rejecting the results of the presidential election that voted him into office. He warned that if opposition forces come to power, the country's law and order would collapse, future economic growth engines would wither, and the South Korea-US alliance, as well as their trilateral cooperation with Japan, would once again collapse. North Korea, he said, would further develop its nuclear weapons and missiles, posing a more serious threat to Korean people's lives. Now, this speech seems to be a clear indication that the President will challenge efforts to charge and impeach him for imposing martial law, demonstrating that he's not willing to step down.
Right, Soo-young, and staying with that, I understand his address also included intentions to put up a legal battle.
That's right, Sonia. So according to legal and political sources, his aides have been reaching out to legal professionals, including former secretaries for the presidential office with legal backgrounds and also lawyers from prestigious law firms. And this comes amid reports that the presidential office has already conveyed Yoon's position that he would rather face impeachment than step down voluntarily. Apparently that's been conveyed to the ruling People Power Party already. And if the opposition's motion to impeach him passes this Saturday, the Constitutional Court has up to 180 days to issue a ruling, and another presidential election must be held within 60 days of that. This could prolong the required period for a new presidential election to be called to as long as 8 months, compared to the 2 or 3 months to call a snap election if Yoon opts for resignation. If Parliament impeaches him this week, then Yoon and his team will have to counter both the insurrection charges and the impeachment proceedings simultaneously. So then the key questions would be whether there was an intent to undermine the constitutional order and also whether his actions amount to the degree of insurrection.